Hello everyone, this is Sir Brian Cordova and welcome to another calculus class. So our topic for today is derivatives. So the first thing na kailangan natin is i-define what is a derivatives. So ma-define natin siya based from its derivation. So saan ba nanggaling or nakuha yung derivatives? So given a graph of a given function, y is equal to f of x sub o or x naught. So, doon sa graph na yon, meron tayong given point na yung coordinate niya or yung distance niya from the origins ay given by the coordinate x sub 0 and yung y is the function of x sub 0 or function ng input. So, yung distance niya from the origin along the x-axis is x sub 0 and along the y-axis is f of x sub 0. Now, let's say we have another point, q. Ngayon, ang coordinate ni q away from the origin, magkakaroon tayo ng additional distance, which is increment ng x, let's say equal siya sa h, and yung distance niya along the y-axis ay may additional na increment ng y. So yung coordinate or distance ni q away from the origin would be y plus delta y or increment of y is equal to function of x sub 0 plus h, which is increment ng x. And kapag tinranspose natin yung y sa kabila, okay, magiging minus y. So, delta y is equal to f of x sub 0 plus h. And yung y natin is equal to f of x sub 0. So, pwede natin i-substitute. Okay? And by the way, since we have 2 points, pwede tayo magkaroon ng second line. So, ang second line natin is PQ, given by the 2 points, P and Q. So, the slope of the second line, PQ, is equal to the rise over run, which is delta y over delta x. And it is equal to the given expression kanina divided by yung delta x ay pwede natin gawing h na lang. And kapag kinuha natin yung limit ng ratio na to, which is the slope of the second, pag kinuha natin yung limit, ang makukuha na natin as delta x approaches 0, yung point Q goes back close enough to point P. Hanggang sa matira na lang line natin would be the slope of the tangent. So yung slope ng second line, ang i-approach na niya is the slope of the tangent line kung saan 1 point na lang yung ini-intersect dun sa curve or sa graph ng curve. So as delta x approaches 0, the slope of the second line approaches the slope of the tangent line. Okay? So the slope of the tangent line, PT, is the limit of the slope of the second line, PQ, which is delta y over delta x, equal to the limit as h approaches 0 or delta x approaches 0 of the difference quotient or f of x sub 0 plus h minus f of x sub 0 all over h. So this expression is what we call the derivative of the function y. Okay, ito yung function y with respect to the x variable since yung increment ng x yung ina-approach natin to 0 when delta x or h approaches 0. So it is with respect to the variable x. And that is what we call the derivative of the function f of x at a specific point x sub 0. So yun yung slope ng tangent line pt at the point where yung x natin is x sub 0. So pabalik tayo doon sa point P na ang coordinate niya sa x-axis is x sub 0. So, specified point on the x-axis. Okay, the formal definition is the derivative of the function y is equal to f of x with respect to the variable x is the function f prime whose value at x is ito. So, f prime of x is equal to the limit of the function of x sub 0 plus h minus f of x sub 0 all over h as h approaches 0. So we take the limit of this difference quotient, provided that the limit exists. So hindi mo masasabi yung derivative ng isang function if the limit does not exist. So if f prime exists at a particular x, we say that f is differentiable and has a derivative at x. If f of prime exists at every point in the domain of f, so for every point on x, okay, hindi lang sa specified value of x, we call that f or the function differentiable. So general. So other notations for the derivative is f prime of x, which is equal to y prime, also equal to dy over dx. So that is the derivative of the function y with respect to x. Is equal also to derivative of f, which is the function, pwede siyang y or f, over dx. Pwede ring derivative of f of x with respect to x. Pwede ring derivative of f given that is evaluated from x. Pwede ring derivative of the function x with respect to x. So they are all the same meaning. Other interpretations, so lahat ng mga sumusunod ay interpretations for the limit, the difference quotient. So the limit of the difference quotient, the limit of the function of x sub 0 plus h minus f of x sub 0 all over h as h approaches 0 is it is the slope of the graph of y is equal to f of x at x is equal to x sub 0. So specified yung value ng x. So that is x sub 0. Number 2, the slope of the tangent to the curve y is equal to f of x at the specific point x is equal to x sub 0. So ito yung ina-approach na limit ng slope ng second line. Given 2 points, kapag nilimit natin yung difference between that point, those points sa x along the x coordinate or along the x-axis, ang i-approach niya is the slope of the tangent line. And it is also the rate of change of the given function with respect to x at that point. X is equal to x sub 0. And it is the derivative of the function f of x sub 0 at the point x sub 0. Note that the process of finding the derivative or the limit of the difference quotient is what we call differentiation. So, dito nagsisimula yung part ng calculus, which is what we call the differential calculus. Okay. Example ng finding the derivative. So, find the slope of the curve y is equal to 1 over x at any point x is equal to a, not equal to 0. So, what is the slope of the graph at x is equal to negative 1? So, solution, given that f of x is equal to 1 over x, so we're going to find the slope at any given point. Let's say x is equal to a. So, ang input ay a. So, ang y natin is given by f of x, which is 1 over x. So, ang value ng input is a. So, we have 1 over a. So, yun ang hanapan natin ng slope. So, the derivative is equal to f prime of x is equal to the limit of the difference quotient. So, f of x sub 0 plus h minus f of x sub 0 all over h as h approaches 0. So, yung x sub 0 natin is yung value ng x. Okay? So, substituting the values, we have x sub 0 is equal to a, x sub 0 is equal to a. Then, performing the operation of the function, so a plus h yung ating input given the function. So that is 1 over x, which is the input is a plus h minus 1 over a. So dito, we're going to get the GCD, and so we can cross multiply. So we have a minus 1 times a plus h all over a times a plus h all over h. So dito pwede natin gawin yung means and extremes. So yung denominator is pwede nating ihiwalay since etong numerator is pwede nating gawing factor. Okay? So that is 1 over h times, so dito sinimplify na natin yung numerator. So since ika-cancel natin itong dalawa, a minus a, so negative h. So negative h yung matitira. And distributing a, we have a squared plus a h. So from here, we can cancel out h from the denominator since naka-factor naman yon. So negative h. So we have negative 1 over a squared plus ah. So now we can evaluate the limit as h approaches 0. Since h approaches 0, so yung may h natin, kung saan siya nakafactor, it approaches 0. So what remains is negative 1 over a squared. So that is the slope at any given point. So now, what is the slope at x is equal to negative 1? So at negative 1, so i-determine natin yan. Since pababa yung line, it would be negative. So at x is equal to negative 1, so substitute lang natin yung value ng x doon sa given slope at any point. So the slope is equal to the f prime of x, which is equal to negative 1 over negative 1 squared. So in-squared natin, matatanggal yung negative dun sa negative 1. So negative 1 over 1, which is still negative 1. So the slope of the graph at x is equal to negative 1 is negative 1. So from here, you can get the derivative of a reciprocal function. So derivative of reciprocal function 1 over x is equal to negative 1 over x squared, where yung value ng x is not equal to 0, since it will become undefined. So yung derivative na yan is ma-encounter natin when we tackle the differentiation rules. Another example, differentiate the function y is equal to x cubed minus 2x. So the first step do sa solution is dagdagan natin ng delta y, yung function. So y is equal to delta y. And yung value ng x would be added by h. So yung input natin would be hindi lang magiging x, kundi magiging x plus h. So yung x cube magiging x plus h, quantity cube, minus 2 times x plus h na siya. Okay? Then transpose y, so magiging minus, yung y natin ay equal sa x cube minus 2x. So yun na yung i-substitute natin. So expanding and removing the grouping symbol, we have x cubed plus 3x squared h plus 3x h squared plus h cubed minus 2x minus 2h plus x cubed plus 2h. So, performing distributive property and changing of signs. And ito, siyempre ay expansion of binomial. Combining similar terms, we have x cubed minus x cubed, so makakancel yan. And we also have negative 2x plus 2x. And that's all. So we have 3x squared h plus 3x h squared plus h cubed minus 2h. And kapag dinivide natin ng delta x or h, magiging x cubed na lang. So matatanggal na natin yung h, matatanggal na ng isa, tanggal ng isa, so squared na lang. And ito. So we have 3x squared plus 3xh plus h squared minus 2. Now, taking the limit as delta x or h approaches 0, so yung mga magsi-0 dyan is yung mga terms na may factor na h. So, itong middle terms. So, what will remain is the y prime is equal to 3x squared minus 2. So, that is the derivative of the function y is equal to x cubed minus 2x. Another example, let's have a physics problem. A rock free falls from rest, so the initial velocity would be 0. The distance it falls is given by the function y is equal to 16t squared feet. So yung distance is given by a function y is equal to 16t squared. So in feet, during the first t seconds. So unknown yung time. So yung distance is a function of time. And what is its speed at t is equal to 2? So solution, the distance is given by the function f of t, where it is equal to 16t squared. So f of t is equal to 16t squared is the distance. Speed is equal to distance over time, which is equal to the rate of change of the distance per given time. So nag-change yung distance per given time. So speed is equal to f prime of t, which is the derivative of the distance with respect to time. So it is equal to the limit of f of t plus h minus f of t over h. So ito yung difference quotient. So taking the limit and substituting the given function. So 16t squared magiging 16t plus h squared minus 16t squared all over h. Okay? So expanding the squared, meron tayong 16t squared plus 2th plus h squared minus 16t squared over h. Then, distributing 16, so we have 16t squared plus 32th plus 16h minus 16t squared. And we have a common term, so cancel that out. So ang matitira ay 32th plus 16h squared, and canceling out h sa ilalim, we have yun na lang. So 32t plus 16h. And performing the limits, we have h approaches 0, so this term would approach to 0. Ang matitira ay 32t. And what is the speed at t is equal to 2? Substitute 2. At t is equal to 2, f prime of t is equal to 32 times 2, which is equal to 62. And the speed has a unit, feet per seconds. Okay, so since naka-feet per seconds. Okay, so alternative formula, when mahirap i-perform yung limit of the difference quotient or the differentiation process, so pwede nating i-write yung x plus h, gawin nating z. So therefore, okay, so transpose natin yung x doon, natitira h is equal to z minus x. And as h approaches 0, so if this approaches 0, ang matitira lang ay x. So z approaches x lang. Thus, f prime of x is equal to the original differentiation formula. It is also equal to the limit of f of z, since yung x plus h natin ay equal to z, minus f of x pa rin, and z approaches x, okay, as h approaches 0, and yung denominator would be h is equal to z minus x. So may pattern na tayo, z, x, and zx sa ilalim. Okay, so mas simple na siya. So magagamit na natin siya to find the derivative of the given function square root of x. Okay, solution. So f prime of x is equal to the limit of f of z minus f of x all over z minus x as z approaches x. So it is equal to f of z is square root of z minus f of x is square root of x and z minus x sa ilalim. So wala kang masyadong binago. Okay? And dito, so papansin na natin, yung ilalim can be factored into the sum and difference. Okay? Since it is a perfect square where yung square natin is a 1 factor yung numerator. So pwede natin cancel yung numerator and i-add a factor sa denominator. So what remains is the limit of 1 over square root of z plus square root of x as z approaches x. And performing the limit, z approaches x, so yung z magiging x. And 1 over square root of x plus square root of x, we have 1 over 2 square root of x. We have two common terms. Okay? So dito, it is a derivative of the square root function 1 over 2 square root of x. So, pwede na natin tandaan ito. So, and that's all for this video. So, the following are the differentiation rules. Okay, the differentiation formulas. So, see you on the next video. Bye.